Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this latest project. In this episode, we're going to be making the roof rack for the Disco 2. So it was a pretty time-consuming process, as you guys are going to see in the video, but it was also challenging too. It really kind of stretched sort of what I have experience with and how I know how to do things, but in the end, it came out okay-ish. But yeah, I'm really stoked to show it to you guys. It's going to be a two-part series, so let's get to it. Right, guys, so to get started on this project, a couple things to sort of make note of. My Amazon lights that lit this place up like a football field a couple weeks ago just shat the bed. So I'm having to deal with a dark garage right here. But all of this is to get prepared to move houses, and it's just a bit of a mess right now. So anyways, we're gonna build up the top roll cage in this episode. A couple things. I borrowed this tube bender from the boys at Build Break Repeat. If you guys haven't checked them out yet, definitely check out their channel. They're local to me, all around really good guys, and they make a really funny and a really cool YouTube channel. Yeah, so check them out. They're really kind in loaning me this. Yeah, so to get started, so a couple things, and I'll put this link also in the description. If you don't watch the fabrication series and you're doing stuff like this, you're kind of missing out on some things. So they do a lot of great educational pieces, whether that's like how to back purge titanium, or how to use a bender, weld cast iron, everything in between. So in one of his episodes, he basically shows you how to make a coupon or a cheater bar for this. This is really important because it's marked in 1-inch increments, so it helps you gauge how much material you actually need for a project. But the other thing it does is it helps really kind of measure out, and we'll get into this more as we go along, but it helps measure out what the actual thing, what it'll actually turn out to be. Yeah. So the design is fairly simple. I want to keep it pretty low profile to the top. I also wanted to keep the Alpine windows fairly clear because in future episodes I'll be building a sleep platform up there, and I just that's what I love about the Defenders and the Discos and a lot of the Land Rovers is the Alpine windows. So wanted to make sure that those were pretty much unobstructed when I built this thing. Ideally, another objective is I want to be able to eventually put hopefully a spare up there too. So like when I'm out in Big Bend or I'm out in really remote areas, that I have those two spares that I could take with me in case something bad were to happen. Another objective on the big part is I want to be able to put Pelican light cases up in the top, put things like, firewood and just stuff that I don't want to put in the cabin itself. So yeah, so that's really what I'm hoping to use the top basket for. The lower basket, I'm a little undecided. It might be solar, it might be, I don't know what. So here's the general design of it. So looking at it from the side, there's going to be one main hoop that goes all the way across front to back, right? So all the way from the back, all the way up to the front by the windshield. And it's basically going to be, a big rectangle with 90-degree bends on each side. The overall width of it is going to be 44 inches, and the length of the top platform is going to be 50. So in order to do this, I'm going to basically have to make two U's and then join them together. So how we do that is we start from the center line. So if I know it wants to be 44 inches, I mark that. So this one is a 10-foot stick, so I'm going to mark it at the 5-foot mark, and then all my bends left and right will come off of that until I get the the main platform set. And then I got some DOM that is a little on the thinner side. It might work to slug the thing. I've had a lot of success not slugging as well, just using the angle iron. So one of those two, should work, and I'll just splice them together. So on that note, it is really important to make sure that you can see your work, especially when it's clamped in the bender. Now, I've only done the previous episode, which is the ladder project. That's the only tube bending I've done throughout my fabrication experience. So this was a bit of a learning experience. So when you build these coupons, here I just used a cutoff wheel and notched it so that I can see it. But when I mark the start point, which is the start of the actual bend, and you can't see that, I make mistakes, right? So, and this one's a great example of this. So this is clearly not 44 inches. This was me doing a trial yesterday, and I was just gonna pretend like I did it later on. But here you can see, you know, there's multiple marks for one thing, which gets confusing. So now I've learned I need to take acetone and wipe it all off whenever I'm done, with the exception of the center mark. So while I was figuring everything out, I had two different marks. Well, of course, I bent on the shallower mark, not this mark here. So essentially, this is just kind of a screwed up piece. It's not for naught. So what I'll do is on the front part of the hoop, I'll cut this in the middle and then just join them together. So it's not like it's going to be that bad, but it's not the best case scenario. The important thing is I learned from it though. So yeah, let's get to building and everything. It's looking good. And when you look back at the very start of, let's see if I can find it. It's tough to see here. The bend. It's marked. There's a small yellow marking right there, right at the start of the bend. And yeah, that is the sort of the... Scratch everything I just said. That did not work out anywhere near like planned. So I figured out a way to cheat on this just because it's a simple, basically U shape. So what I do is I have the outside line there on the 44-inch mark, and then the inside here. So I'm basically going outside to outside, and I want that to be the 44-inch diameter. And then what I can do is I can still mark on my start line. Just got to figure out the math in between because this isn't working. This is a better view of where I kind of start the bend. So it's right on that edge there. Obviously I'm pulling it around. I'm at 70 degrees right now. So another 20 to go. What I realized I did on this one is I flipped the bend start spot 180 degrees, and that's why it shortened up. So on this one, I figured out that the bent part of the leg gets wrapped around. So at any rate, now that I got this, hopefully this works okay. This will provide the centerline template for all the rest of them and the start bend spots. That didn't 100% work out as planned. You can see that it's actually a half of an inch shorter than what it should be. So whereas I can work things out from here for the remainder of everything, before I start getting into any sort of sophisticated projects, I've got to figure this out. Okay, so I made a mistake. I was 6 1/4 inches shorter than what I should have been. So this is the splice tube, and it clamped up in the angle iron to make sure that everything's straight. Because like I said, I'm not using slugs on this one. Yeah, this is the second part of the U. It's not the best or the worst, but it'll do. I think it can sand down, and it'd be really difficult to see that seam, but. And hopefully it's strong enough. I feel like I got full penetration on it. So let's see how it goes. All right, guys, it's done. But trust me when I say this was a royal pain to splice this in. If you can avoid this at any cost, definitely try to minimize your splices. Obviously, sometimes it's not always possible, but gee whiz. All right. Here I'm making the legs. So I bent this up at a 60-degree angle with no spring brack. Cut them to size, or at least these two right here. The rest are gonna be cut. This is just the experimental piece. So what I did was I drew 1 1/4 up to here from the bottom, and then this is a 1/2 of an inch apart. So what I'll do is I'll cut this little pie out on both sides, right? So pie out on both sides, and then I'll put it in the vise and pinch it, and that'll be the piece that sticks in the actual drip rail. This part up right here, I'm gonna hand cope this so that it matches up with the roof rack up here. Here we have it. So you can see I pinched this thing up in the vise, and then it kind of bent in the wrong direction, so I had to hammer it down here on the concrete. but you can see it's getting there. I'll cope this part up here, give that a nice cope, and then this needs to shave down probably like 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch to get this to line up. But let's do the cope first because that can pivot anywhere, and then we'll figure out how much of this we need to chop off. All right, guys, so I've been gone for a couple weeks out of state, and it has been balls hot in Texas. Dallas, I think, is 108 right now, so this isn't the most fun environment to be in. But let me show you what I have going on right now. So here's where I left off, basically. This back curve was about 1 inch too long, so I had to split it. I hate doing this because it's hard to get everything square again. But basically what I'm doing is I'm working on the drop for this side. So what does that look like? Here's basically it right here on top of my new lighting fixture for the new house. But yeah, so this is the drop. So this is the top part, and then it drops down, this gets cut in half for the base, which is right over here. And then it connects for the lower piece, because the lower piece drops down because of the drop. So here you can see I have everything jigged up. This is the left-hand piece. It comes across. This has got the first drop in it, and it's coped to meet this lower bar right here. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack weld this in place, offer it back up, and hope it works. But see if you can see, I got the joint really pretty tight. Looks like crap on video, but yeah, it should tack up nicely and hold, and then I'll offer it back up, and if everything looks good, I'll go ahead and weld this piece completely before I work on the lower part. So yeah, see you back in a sec. In case anyone's wondering, this is what it looks like whenever you don't have any gas and you try to TIG weld. It just blows the joint out, blows up your tungsten, blows up just about everything. So that'll be fun to try to fix, but yeah, it's kind of is what it is right now. Okay, I'm just gonna quit today. So for S's and G's, I decided to try to fit up everything, and here, have a look. So yeah, so all that math, that looks nice and straight, doesn't it? Perfect, 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 1 inch off, which is really, really frustrating. All right, guys, so brand new day. Took a bit of a break, a few week break from the roof rack, so I'm back at it again. It's incredibly hot still. I was hoping to avoid that, but let me show you what I've been up to. Yesterday, so these guys, Build, Break, Repeat, they're also on YouTube. Give them a like, man. They're making some really, really cool stuff over there. So they bent this up for me. So I'm kind of excited and want to show it. But basically, this is going to be on the back bumper. And I want it to sit off of the back bumper about 1 inch. So basically what I did was we bent this up at the absolute minimums. So those legs are going to obviously be a little long, because you got to pull those through the bender and everything, but this thing is going to fit perfect. So, well, at least I hope so. I believe so. So basically I set it down and measured everything off, and these are going to be the cut lines. So let's see where this thing goes. Actually, let's cut it up first, because like I said, I'm stoked about it, and then I'll hold it up and that'll make a lot more sense. All right, so I got it cut and kind of cleaned up. I'll clean up that inside a little bit, but let me show you what the whole idea is here. So when that roof rack gets up there, it's going to be kind of difficult to get up and get it, even with the ladder. So what this will do is this will kind of go in this area, provide some more support, and yeah, it'll be a nice little step to be able to go up. And then what I'll also do over here, because I was thinking about the 1.5 inches is just going to be too thick for this section. So what I'll do is I'll put 1 inch. I'll do the same thing in 1 inch for that. Okay, again, guys, it's hot as balls out here. But what I did was I want to kind of document this as best as I can. So basically I found out where I wanted the cross members to go, right? So there's a cross member here that I'm going to measure, a cross member here, and then we're getting one right over here. So it's going to be 3 on the back section, 2 on the lower section, and I'm going to make a cross support for that right there. So So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out this measurement, which it looks like is 41 1/4. So I'll get that cut out of some 1x2, maybe it's 1x3, 1x2 I think, and then I'll get that set across there. All right, let's see if I can explain what I'm doing here. So I have these two pieces, this one and this one, squared up and set in. They're held in by tension right now. This one right here needs to be coped and cut and coped, I guess is what I'd say. So what I wanted to do was so these are all gonna have 1-inch bracing that go from here up to here, right? So 1-inch 14 gauge round tube that comes up here, comes up here. So what I wanted to do is, because this is semi-flat, I have to cope it less, but it's also like a stress point. So I want it to be able to tie in right here. For this side, I'm gonna do this whole bow tie support system. So I want a round tube to come up and hit this seam joint right here. So right now it's just tacked in. You can see where I kind of seamed it. So this is gonna get welded all the way around, but I don't really trust it, so I want another brace to come up right here, and that'll be the back side of the sheet metal bow tie that kind of comes in, ties this in, because you can see this gap's kind of big, so that's going to get nasty to kind of try to weld with the process that I'm using. And then it'll come down and it'll probably stop like right in here, which is where a secondary cross piece will go. So for the front side, it'll have 2 cross pieces, so it'll be a 3 and a 2. And then what I'll likely do is I'll probably put some screen mesh in the back. I don't quite know what I'm going to do to the front yet, but we're getting there. It's finally getting there. So yeah, so what I do is I put this piece right here on the center. Let me find it. Yeah, on the center line, and then I come back here, mark it, cut that out, and then hand cope both sides, hold it in with tension. I'll tack weld all 3 of these in. If I can, I'll probably fully weld at least the top side so that I can get I will fully weld the top side so that I can get the braces in, get the braces tacked in, and then, yeah, let's see how it goes from there. All right, guys, so sorry that, of all the sweat and everything, but again, it's like 107, 108 out right now. I'm gonna show you some pieces that I'm glad I caught right now rather than later on, because if I had caught them later on, it would have been a little bit more finagly, I guess you should say. So hold on, let me show you. So this right here, I placed this crossbar in and straightened it out. You can see it's right in line with that seam there, which is exactly what I wanted. But I want to put an X brace right back here, and you can't, it's more difficult to do that if this is here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this off. And then this isn't the center line, so don't worry about it. But yeah, so I'm gonna make the cross brace, because the back side of this right here is gonna be 1-inch tube that's gonna be welded down this side and then sort of edged in. Hopefully it makes sense once I do it. But yeah, let me get this into position for you. So this is basically what I've got. It's held on very fragilely by this blue tape over in here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace the X out so that everything matches up to everything. I want this one here is incredibly important that it's perpendicular. So I'm going to make sure of that, but I'll trace all of this out before I tack in this crossbar here, so I at least have an idea of what it's meant to look like. All right, so this is the flight path of the bow tie. I'm just going to use these tin snips to trim everything up, because this is kind of hard board. On that note, you guys go to Costco and get these things. Like, even if you're not a member, just be like, yo, I'm going to get some cardboard. And they always let you in. So they have like the biggest, flattest templates that I always like to use. conclude this episode. As you can see, I had a lot of challenges and a lot of struggles. I was really kind of learning some new things, especially with that tube bending. And there's a learning curve to it. You know, I thought that I could probably have most of it figured out with the ladder, but this was just a next level challenge for me. I want to enjoy that stuff. A lot of what I really like to do is do street cars, like canyon carvers, autocross cars, that kind of stuff. So I really need to really understand like how these tube benders work and how to do things where you don't splice. And you know, there's going to be a lot of you guys that have watched this and they're like, you're going to be like, oh my God, that thing is so fragile. You're going to be crossing the Darien Gap and it's going to go flying off and most certainly hit an endangered eagle on a migratory pattern, and it's going to ruin it for every overlander out there. And that's probably true. That's probably true. When I cross the Darien Gap, that roof rack's gonna definitely come off and probably hurt some indigenous kids or, you know, some rare bird. But yeah, I did it my way, and honestly, I feel pretty confident with it. So there's gonna be a part 2 of the series, obviously. This one kind of got on a little long. So on that note, this wasn't like one of the most exciting episodes to watch. I mean, there was just a lot of technical explanation and watching me weld, which is, you can watch anyone weld on YouTube, right? So I appreciate you guys making it this far. And yeah, if it's no hardship, I would love a like. I would love to get that subscriber count up a little bit. Let's see if we can make it to the hundreds. That would be good. Right now, I think I'm sitting at like 62. So, at any rate, it's the weekend here. It's time to go out. The World Cup's starting soon, and it's a good time to be alive. So, until next time, thanks.